This is Phil Toko, and you're watching the Agri-Food Safety Minute, the web series designed to get you one step closer to GAP certification every week. How you irrigate can have a dramatic effect on food safety. The method of irrigation can greatly alter the potential risk of contaminating a crop. With all other risk factors being equal, overhead irrigation poses the greatest potential risk of contaminating a crop. Surface irrigation, such as exposed drip tape, poses less of a contamination risk. Finally, irrigation delivered in a closed system, such as drip tape under plastic or subsurface drip irrigation, poses the least risk of contaminating a crop. It's also important to remember that the stage of the plant at the time of irrigation also influences risk. If the plant is in a vegetative state or is more than a month prior to harvest, the risk of contaminating the crop through irrigation is very low. If, however, the crop is within 2 weeks of harvest or there are fruit present on the plant, the risk of contamination due to irrigation is significantly increased. If each of these factors were independent of one another, assessing risk would be relatively easy. The problem is all of these factors act together to affect the risk of contamination. Just because a grower utilizes a high-risk irrigation type or plant growth stage doesn't mean that the grower is destined to contaminate the crop. If the water test employed by the grower shows low or no generic E. coli, there's little chance of contamination of the crop. It's important to keep in mind that just because a grower is utilizing an irrigation strategy that could be deemed high risk, and that the grower may be using a contaminated water source, that mitigation strategies can be put in place that could render the risk of contamination low. Understanding irrigation water risks is complex and very specific to an individual grower's specific conditions. If a grower has difficulty in understanding their risk, they are welcome to contact the Agri-Food Safety Workgroup. We can be reached at gaps@msu.edu or 517-788-4292. In our show notes, you'll find a guidance document that further clarifies some of the issues brought up in this webisode. Thanks for joining us this week. We hope to see you again next week on the Agri-Food Safety Minute.